And good afternoon and welcome to another edition of the Mark Moses Show here as we're streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch as well. We're going to be everywhere. We are here on a Taco Tuesday, and we are broadcasting live from the Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Take back control of your life. Give them a call today, 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. We got much to discuss. Early edition of the show today. And we're going to be joined to kick it off with this fine gentleman, one of my great friends here in Brevard County, and just a great friend overall. The man, the myth, the legend, Alan Zlotorzynski with Brevard Sports Network. My man, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, Mark. Taco Tuesday. I like the sound of that.
Taco Tuesday it is. You know what I'm going to do? Let's go even closer to our faces. Let's do that. The people need to see this.
Because this is what everybody wants to look at, right?
You're absolutely right. All right, let's go over a lot of different headlines. We got, local, we got statewide, we got national. So we'll start local here in Brevard County. You texted me last night the story you did where I believe MCC has a new basketball coach for women.
Two of them. I got two. Yeah, and they both came from Palm Bay. Coach Ray is going to take over the boys program. That announcement was made about 10 days ago. But, and listen, this is Coach Ray's first head coaching job as a head coach. He's been phenomenal as an assistant, and he's going to do great things for the MCC boys program there. But the big one is EJ Murray, the Palm Bay girls head basketball coach, who back on March 6th won a state championship, the first ever for Palm Bay, boys or girls. And he has accepted the job at Melbourne Central Catholic as the new girls basketball coach. And I think that this is a move, Mark, that will put that program in Brevard County girls basketball on a national map consistently. When you look at the best teams in this country, and from a girls basketball perspective, we talked about the boys side last week with a team like Montverde and the players they had. Well, EJ can do things like that at MCC. And I don't think, listen, to sit here and say it's not because of money would be lying to people. It is because of money. But when you have the talents that EJ Murray has, he won 2 state championships at Florida Air Academy, Florida Prep, 2 there, okay? Won a state championship at Palm Bay. He runs one of the most premier club basketball programs in the country in East Coast United, girls basketball. That's what high school sports is today, and EJ Murray has completely mastered it, and he will do big things for MCC.
Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot. We're here with Alan Zlotorzynski. You're talking about MCC men's and women's basketball, boys, girls. Mm-hmm. So you're at Palm Bay. You just win a state championship. So you have proven, hey, I can win here. And you're saying it's a pay upgrade, if you want to put it that way, coaching wise, going to MCC.
Sure.
What can MCC do on the court? Like what do they have besides a better salary? What can they do where he could do even better when, again, he just won a state championship at Palm Bay?
Well, okay, so EJ took his girls to 2 national tournaments last year. Mm-hmm. Took them to We Got Game in Washington, D.C., and I can't remember where the other national tournament was. At Melbourne Central Catholic, EJ can play a schedule that's conducive to his talent. In other words, he's not a Cape Coast Conference team. The Cape Coast Conference, Mark, and I'll get some blowback for this, but the Cape Coast Conference in and of itself is extremely flawed when it comes to scheduling. Okay, there are certain sports you're forced to play a number of teams. Palm Bay girls basketball was forced to play teams, Mark, that didn't help their state rankings. Okay, in fact, hurt their state rankings here in the county, and now he's not forced to. He'll have to play the teams in his district per the Florida High School Athletic Association, but he won't be required to play a lot of the Brevard County teams that he's been forced to play in the past, which makes a huge difference, Mark. And he's able to schedule games and tournaments that can take that program to another level nationally.
This sounds like what we have with high school football. I know you guys with Brevard Sports Network, you posted O'Galley's high school schedule coming up this fall and all the teams they're going to take on. And look, I'm not with this discussion. Hey, this is his decision. Good luck in MCC. Hey, if you're Palm Bay, hey, we're the champions still. Even if you don't like our schedule or our rankings, we still won the state championship.
Take a team like let's look at football. Okay. Let's look at Cocoa. Let's look at their district. And I mean no disrespect to the Villages. I mean no disrespect to Astronaut. But why should Cocoa have to play those teams? I mean, I don't want to tell you what the score was over the last couple of years when Cocoa faced off against those teams. Astronaut's doing, Coach Halleck is doing some wonderful things, Mark, at Astronaut. He is. But the difference between the two programs in terms of level of competition, talent on the field is different. So what does anybody gain in watching a basketball game where the point difference is 90 points, or watching a football game when you have to play 5-minute quarters or you have a running clock at halftime? Who does that benefit?
You're absolutely right. And look, this is the discussion we've had for the last couple of years. And you look at, this is just the sport of high school football, basketball, these other sports from the standpoint of, okay, competition, like you're saying, and who are you going to play? What's your schedule going to be? This is all, even if you don't care about Brevard County sports, just you like sports in general, this is the narrative. That's why, for years I'd be on with you and I'd be like, wow, look what Coco's doing. This is the standard. This is the level of play they do for football. And this is what's going to happen. So it's interesting you bring this up. Now it's hitting not just football, it's now hitting basketball, girls basketball, where you're having these problems.
Listen, Palm Bay girls basketball, EJ leaves Palm Bay. And listen, a lot of this was started under the guidance and tutelage of Sarah Morano as well. The assistant athletic director there. The Moranos have an extremely great name in this county. They're great coaches, the entire family, the Moranos. So a lot of this was started under Sarah Morano and finished off by EJ Murray and his great staff, like Coach Ray. Okay. But EJ leaves Palm Bay with a 62-game winning streak against Brevard County teams, and the average margin of victory in those 62 straight wins is over a running clock. Tell me, A, who it benefits, B, why that has to happen, and C, how does anybody get better doing that?
They don't. You're absolutely right. 62 in a row with running clock. That's incredible, dude. As a stat, it is. All right.
They are Palm Bay girls basketball over the last 5 years is to girls basketball. Really, they are to basketball in this county, boys and girls basketball. I'm going to add to what Cocoa football is. Yeah. That's how dominant they've been.
Yeah. So if you're MCC. You bring in a championship level coach for girls basketball. Isn't the expectation, hey, we better make deep playoff runs every year. We better start hanging our own banners. Isn't that the standard now if you bring this guy in as your coach?
Yeah, absolutely. And listen, I think here's the thing you need to know. They will hang banners. Listen, MCC basketball, I saw a comment in the post that said MCC basketball hasn't won for a while. That's not true. The Terrys, Rob and Candy Terry, Rob coached the husband and wife team. Rob played at Florida Tech, Hall of Fame player at Florida Tech, went on to coach the MCC boys. Candy Terry coached the girls there. They had a terrific run at MCC. In fact, Candy Terry won a state championship with MCC, I believe. I believe she did at MCC in girls basketball. So I could be wrong about that, but I'm sure somebody will correct me. But the bottom line is that Terry's proved, you can absolutely win big at MCC.
All right, that's a great story. Check it out on Facebook. Just search for Brevard Sports Network, talking about MCC, like you said, hiring boys and girls basketball coaches. I want to go back to the O'Galley thing. You posted about, and you do a great job covering high school sports, by the way. O'Galley's got the football schedule. Is this like Coco's model? This is what we need to do moving forward? Have this gauntlet of great teams to take on every year?
Yeah, I think so. The old expression, Mark, is iron sharpens iron, correct? I mean, let's be honest here. Coco, I mean, we have talked about this 1,000 times over, right? About how Coco and Ryan Schneider over his 8 years has taken that next step. Listen, I still go back to when Cardinal Gibbons during the COVID year came in to Dick Blake Stadium at Coco and ran the clock on the Tigers, and in the state semifinals beat them. And Ryan Schneider said never again. Now, listen, in all fairness to Schneider and the Tigers that year, they were forced to stay in county, okay, because they had to play because of COVID. But from that point on, Ryan Schneider said, I'm going to play. If the FHSAA says I have to play these teams, those are the teams I'll play. I'll keep the barbecue bowl, but I'm going to go and schedule the toughest teams in the state. Sources tell me maybe, Coco's schedule this year is going to be a beast. Maybe there's a Miami Norland on there this year. I don't know, but it'll be released soon. But I'm here to tell you that looking at O'Galley's schedule, Chris Sands, the clear goal is to go play for a state championship. You don't schedule Jacksonville Reigns. You don't schedule Coco. You don't schedule 2 regional finalists if you don't want your team to be prepared for a deep December run. That's a great schedule he put together, and they don't play in an easy district either. Merritt Island, Titusville, Rockledge were all playoff teams last year. In fact, O'Galley's schedule is made up of 10 playoff teams if you count the Kickoff Classic. The strength of schedule is 6-13. That's a hell of a schedule Sands put together. He's done his part in terms of preparing his team for what they will face on the field. Now they just got to get the guys ready for the actual games.
Okay, a couple things here. Then Zlotorzynski. So you bring up Coco, so you lose at 21. So then they come back 22. They win the title. 23 state title. Last year's state title. 3 in a row. The only game. Okay, this is off the top of my head. The only game where it was like, all right, this was not fun. Was it when they went to IMG Academy? Was that last fall?
Yeah, but look, even they were within 10 at the half. I mean, it was a good, it was a close game into the third quarter there. And I think if Coco could have that game back, I still don't think they'd win the football game. But I don't think they turned the ball over as much as they did, in that one. And so, listen, the schedule Coco has played over the last 3 years, no question, has prepared them. I mean, look at the scores in the playoffs.
Okay, so you go to Coach Sands, and he has done a phenomenal job there at O'Galley.
55 wins in 8 years is incredible.
Yeah, Coach is awesome. He really is. So here's the thing. You release that schedule. You tell the public, here's what we're going to do. Are you telling everyone, hey, we want to be at the same level as Coco? We don't want to just be a good team here in Brevard County. We want to go to that next level, even though we haven't won a state championship under this regime, but we want to go to that next level and be a premier team in the state of Florida and across the country.
I think they wanted to make that statement last year, honestly, because the scuttlebutt in the county last year, if you looked at social media, you listened to, there's a thing on Friday night done by a gentleman by the name of Martell Stevens. It's a little, it can get intense nonetheless. It's called Spaces on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it. but listen, man, all anybody wanted last year was to see O'Galley and Coco play. And so they're going to get that this year. There will be no debates. That argument will be settled September 19th at Coco.
All right. They called the barbecue bowl Rockledge Coco, and I'm happy. You have to keep that game. That is the big rivalry game. I know it doesn't matter what the schedules are, the records. You got to play the barbecue bowl. What would you call this? If we make this an annual thing, what would O'Galley Coco be? We got to come up with a name, buddy.
Oh, I got some names for it, but I don't know that I could say them on air. But look, I will say this, and there's some scuttlebutt in the county. There was, I do want to say that there was a game dropped off the schedule this year, and that was Melbourne and O'Galley.
All right.
And for the first time since 92, that game won't be played. And only the third time since 1962, that game won't be played. As a guy that's pretty dialed in on the local media scene for, local sports, I hope that in the future, that game will, and I'm sure it will. We got a great new coach at Melbourne and Jeff Panucci. And listen, Coach Panucci has his reasons. And, great coach at O'Galley. I just hope in the future we can get that game back.
Yeah, it's a great game. It really is. Panucci's another new coach. We do this all the time with Alan. I always try to keep up with what coaches where, because we're constantly, there's like moving chairs here.
All right. Let me, as spring football practice is underway.
Oh, do you have access compared to stupid college football where they shut down everything? Can you go to practice?
I mean, it depends who, I always find out in the spring who I've pissed off during the off season.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So I'll find out here in the next 2 weeks. But anyway, you got new coach at Satellite. Remember, it's the legendary Dan Burke. Okay. Yeah. You got a new coach at Titusville. Remember, it's Matt Diesel. Okay.
Matt's the man.
You got a new coach at Rockledge. Okay. And this guy's the man too, in John Holmes.
Yeah.
Okay. You got a new coach at Melbourne. That's Jeff Panucci. What do all these guys have in common except for Dan Burke? They all went to school where they're coaching. Panucci to Melbourne, Holmes went to Rockledge, and Diesel went to Titusville.
Yeah, Panucci, talking to him off air, I'll give him some prop. He sounds motivated and determined. He loves Melbourne football. He's excited for that. I'm going to get him back on here in a couple weeks. It's one of those things where, so we discuss this all the time, but if you're new to the show, yes, this is the Mark Moses Show. This is our podcast version. I'm here with Alan Zlotorzynski, Brevard Sports Network. You look at stability here in Brevard County. There are two schools, O'Galley and Coco, with the coaching. You think those two have the most stability, those the elder statesmen, and you notice they're the ones winning all the time. I think and I get it. Look, I get salaries. There's problems. I understand. Don't you feel like, Alan, you need stability at head coach if you want to compete here in Brevard County?
Well, absolutely, because if I'm a player, I'm going to want to go play somewhere as if I am a freshman who I know I've got skills and I'm going to make an impact for my team, I'm going to want to play somewhere where I know in 3 years my head coach is going to be.
Yeah.
And you look at O'Galley, Sands, and you look at Coco with Schneider, okay? And they're going into their 8th year. And last year, they were far and above anybody else in this county as the best teams in this county. Now, O'Galley was tested twice. Merritt Island tested them. Titusville tested them during the regular season. But once we got to the playoffs, O'Galley beat Titusville 44-0. I mean, or whatever the score was. But yes, stability matters. And it's no surprise that the team prior to Schneider, that you look at the great teams in this county, the Cocos with John Wilkinson for 13 years, the Merritt Islands with Coach Jeff for as many years as he was there. Palm Bay with Dan Burke, who was there for 23 years. Yes, Mark Moses, stability matters.
It does. I know someone was chiming in through Facebook. What's the subject? Here's the subject. We are talking, even though it's April 1st, we are currently talking high school football here in Brevard. And this conversation started with how you had the change for Palm Bay girls basketball. Yeah, where you went there. It's the new landscape of sports from the high school to the collegiate level, where you have NIL, you have transfer portal. I don't think a lot of casual sports fans understand. They're noticing these things in college with coaches and players jumping ship. It's at the high school level here in Brevard County where you
Mark,
happen.
As ridiculous as what I'm about to say is, it's happening. We've got youth football players, 10, 8, 10, 12, 14 years old, who are announcing that they're taking their talents to a different organization. Yeah. We've got middle school players announcing where they're going to be playing high school football. Now, I am 55 years old. I am the guy that says stay off of my lawn. So, but I have come to terms with NIL in college, with paying players. Now, I don't want to see high school players get paid, but I've come to terms and grips with the fact that there's, name, image, and likeness in high school, and good for these kids, because I think in today's world, if done properly, name, image, and likeness can teach them a lot of very valuable lessons in life moving forward. Think about the things that they can learn. And you have some really great guys out there that can help guide these families and guide these student athletes towards learning these things. I don't recommend, if you're a student athlete that has a ton of skill, I don't recommend tackling this stuff on your own.
No, and you're a minor. I can't stress enough.
Right.
You're a minor. You're not even an adult yet. All right. We've discussed this in the past, but I'll reset. I'll say it again on our new platform here. And thanks for coming on, Alan. Yeah. I think what's going to happen is, so players are like, well, I have the power now. You're not playing me. I don't like the coach. I'm going to this school. So it's happening in high school. I'll just say this. So you're like, all right, well, I'm going here. I'm going there. Then they're going to get to college. I don't like this. I'm going here. I'm going there. So they'll go to 3 high schools. Then they'll go to 3 colleges. Then if they're good enough, they'll get to the pros. And they go, well, this is the standard. And the pro team's going to go, no, you're under contract for the next 5 years.
That's right.
Nowhere.
Well, and here's the thing. And a lot of this is going to boil down to coaches like Ryan Schneider, Chris Sands, E.J. Murray, and company. Because I assure you, E.J. Murray, Ryan Schneider, and Chris Sands, if they've got a player making NIL money and they walk into their locker room and they think that they're above the team, listen, in order for a high school player to make NIL money, they're going to have success on the gridiron and in the classroom, okay? I promise you, coaches like E.J. Murray, Ryan Schneider, and Chris Sands will make sure stuff like that does not tear apart a locker room. And that's where that has to be monitored. That's where those lessons are taught. If I've got a star player who's making in high school, a stipend for a high school football coach is anywhere from $3,600 to $5,000, right? Somewhere in that neighborhood it falls. Depends who you are, where you are. The bottom line is, I'm sure there's already high school football players making more than that in NIL money. But it's up to the coach to make sure they maintain control of their teams. And that's why you got to have great coaches like the Murrays, the Sands, and the Schneiders of the world.
And I want to clarify this. I'm going to say this right now. Look, those are great programs. But Alan and I, and especially Alan, we're going to cover all these teams. It's not like, oh, well, you're not winning state titles. You suck. No. Even like all these teams, we love them all. We will support them all. We will cover them all.
Yes, we will. Yeah, absolutely. We will. It's funny you bring that up because I got an email yesterday and then one over the weekend, asking us why, like tonight on Brevard Sports Network. Like I said, I'm glad you brought this up. I get an email on Brevard Sports. It says, why don't you change the name of the damn company to the Vieira Sports Network? Well, I just might, but no, I'm kidding. But, because all we carry are Vieira Sports. Well, listen, since the day Brevard Sports Network was launched, we've offered packages in terms of, hey, listen, if you got a quarterback club, if you got a booster club, an RBI club, a hoops club, whatever, Brevard Sports Network will come and broadcast these many games for this price.
Yeah.
And from day one, Mark, every year without fail, Vieira sends the email and wants in. And so what I would say to those people is we're able to not only cover Vieira, but this year, because we covered Vieira baseball, they were able to see 9 other Brevard County teams play. So that's the benefit in that. And I think a lot of people need to understand that because of the financial support that, various athletic programs in Vieira can offer a company like BSN, it benefits the entire county and allows us to cover all sports, Mark.
Okay, for your guy that emailed, and I look, I like feedback. I think it's good. I get it. It's a backhanded type comment. They wrote to
right.
You. Look, if you ever write those types of emails, you're contacting me or Alan. Hey, let us know what teams hey, can you give some love? And I know they do this to you, Alan. Hey, what teams do you want to be covered? Let us know. You'll work on it. I know.
I'll work on it. I'll reach out. I'll go find sponsors in that area. Look, a sponsor in West Melbourne on a local business isn't going to pay to sponsor baseball games at Astronaut High School. But we can find a sponsor in Titusville that can pay to cover 5 Titusville baseball games. You know what I'm saying? We never charge the schools. I'll never charge the school. Now, the RBI clubs, the booster clubs, things like that, that's a different story. Okay.
How did, I gave you a shout out on here. I even went on, what's it called? Our top 40 station, 1071 A1A. I gave you guys a shout out on Friday about the charity game you did at, was it Holy Trinity?
Holy Trinity. Oh, it was a great event. Coach Tommy Kelsey. It was Holy Trinity ended up winning. It was for Tim Wakefield. Mark, it was really, really kind of to start a somber day, because I can remember 3 years ago broadcasting a couple of innings with Tim Wakefield, and Tim was a great guy. And of course, tragically, his wife, Stacy, passed away less than 5 months later. And what was great was to see Brianna and Trevor Wakefield there. Brianna, his daughter, his son, Brianna threw out the first pitch. That was great.
Yeah.
But after the game was over, Holy Trinity won 7-2. And as I was interviewing Coach Kelsey, the team came up, and apparently Holy Trinity had purchased one of the auction items, which was the Tim Wakefield signed huge 4x whatever poster, signed, framed, and presented it to Coach Kelsey. He got emotional. He broke down a little bit, and it was just a great day.
That's really cool. You called that game, dude. What games are you calling for the rest of the week then?
Well, tonight, I'm just going to focus on tonight, because it's a big night on the network. In fact, we were just talking about Vieira. We got 3 Vieira games tonight. We got Vieira. We got the lacrosse game of the year tonight on Brevard Sports Network. We call it the Battle for Brevard. It is Holy Trinity and Vieira boys lacrosse. The Vieira girls lacrosse also have a big match tonight. They will host number 26 Oviedo at home. And I'll be at Rockledge High School tonight for an outstanding baseball game between the Raiders and the Hawks.
That's really cool. So that's coming up tonight. You got a busy night, buddy. You
We
really
do. Yeah, I know.
You're not kidding around. We're here with Alan Zlotorzynski. He's joining me here in the Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios. Take back control of your life. Call them today at 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733. Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorneys. That's high school. We went 29 minutes. Okay. Real quick.
I got time.
Okay. The Gators. The Gators, buddy. Did you think they were dead in the water last Saturday night against Texas Tech?
Yep, I did.
I
was broadcasting an amateur adult league football game, and I was Tony Romo on steroids during that game, because if you remember, Romo was broadcasting 2 football games at the same time, I can't remember when it was, but he was kind of doing it back and forth. So I was doing play-by-play for the Gators game on the football game because I had it on my iPad. I could not believe that the Gators have done it again. And I think this Final Four matchup is perfect for them because if you look at the two teams coming into the Final Four, Mark, that have had struggles at times in this tournament, it's Auburn and Florida. So you have to ask yourself, is it going to be this? Listen, the thing that worries me is if I'm a Gators fan, is Auburn defends the perimeter really, really well. Denver Jones does a terrific job defending that perimeter for Bruce Pearl and the Tigers. And then you got Janiah Broome and Dylan Campbell do a terrific job down low inside the paint. This is going to be a battle. Auburn, and they're not going to forget being beat in their own barn earlier this year by Florida.
Yes.
The Gators the Gators cannot win this basketball game the way that they've won the previous two.
You're absolutely right. All right, you look at this. So they beat Auburn. That was on February 8th, right when Auburn was ranked number 1 in the country.
Right.
Gators won 90-81. They won that game. It's the only time these two teams have fought. Remember, Auburn won the regular season championship. Florida won the conference tournament. These are the two best teams in the best conference in college basketball. So it's not only for a chance to play Monday, it's to finally decide who's the best team in the SEC. That's what makes it great. Here's your stats. So 6:09 with the tip-off, CBS, Saturday night. 160 is the over-under. Gators, as of right now, 2.5-point favorite. Look, dude, my only concern is, forget stats, the mojo. You brought this up. So if you're like a cat, you have 9 lives. They survived UConn. They survived Texas Tech. Do they have any more lives left to survive 2 more games? That's the question.
I literally think if the Gators are going to win this game, they need to win it exactly how they beat Auburn at Auburn, and that is they must get off to a fast start.
I agree.
They led that game by as many as 21 points, Mark. They hit 13 threes in that game. Now, they led by as many as 21, but they won by, it looks like they still beat a number 1 ranked team on the road by 9 points in that one. But I'm telling you, they can't be trailing by 6 with 3 minutes to go because they're not going to go on an 18-4 run on Pearl's Tigers.
No, they're not. So that game's on Saturday night. All right, here's all of what Allen did. He had some free time. And now I'm going to try not to laugh when I say this. You posted your bracket challenge, which I'm in, and it appears I'm out for some reason. You posted, dude, all the different scenarios. If you win or this other guy wins, what do you need to happen for you to win your own bracket challenge, buddy?
And I will add, it would be for a second consecutive year. Okay. I never won a bracket challenge up until last year. Never won one. Mm-hmm. And I've been tied for first place going in. I got all my Final Four teams left. But I will tell you the only scenario with which I can win this thing, it's crazy how this works out, right? Mm-hmm. Is that if Florida plays Duke and Duke wins the national championship.
So you're conflicted. You'd like Florida to win, but for your bracket, you need Duke to win.
Look, listen, here's the bottom line. I hate Duke. Hate them. I grew up a Tobacco Road baby. Okay, Maryland, I'm a Maryland fan. If you're a Maryland fan, you hate Duke, Carolina, anything with an NC in front of it, you hate, right? So, but if I don't have to pay out $150,
that's the update. I picked it at the beginning of the bracket. Florida Duke for the title, and I'm going for the Gators. So we're going to find out on Saturday night. All right, before I let you go, your thoughts on the torpedo bat, a term I did not even know 72 hours ago. Torpedo bat. And it's not just the Yankees, because last night De La Cruz on the Reds, I hit multiple home runs, all these hits. You cover baseball. You love the sport. What's your thought?
Well, they're using softball bats in Major League Baseball now. I mean, listen, all I can say is it's legal. All these people screaming the Yankees are cheating, Dela Cruz is no, they're not. I mean, it's barrel mass confined within the limits of the rules. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's ingenious, to be honest with you. Now you will see every major league team do it, and now the pitching will change. You've already seen, I mean, when the Yankees hit 8 or 9 home runs Saturday, and listen, the Yankees lead off the game Saturday. The bottom of the first inning, back to back to back, 3 straight home runs. They had 8 by the 4th inning, for goodness sakes, Mark. I said, what the hell's going on here? Right? I mean, I know it's the Bronx Bombers, but something's amiss. And, later on that night, they get, listen, baseball, like any other sport, is an evolving sport. Do I like it? Again, get off my lawn, kid, right? But it is what it is, so you better get with the program or get left behind.
It is a softball bat.
Yeah, it is.
It's a softball bat.
I know.
So I feel like, all right, so they've been playing baseball for 130 years, or whatever it is. No one's ever thought of this till now. That shocks me. I feel like that bat, okay, so normally you hit the ball, all right, that's an out. Maybe now with this new bat, you hit the ball and it's going to be a base hit. It's a competitive advantage.
Well, I think the pitching will change. I think what you're going to start to see is you're going to start to see pitchers start to pitch more in and more out. Because if you leave anything across the middle of and listen, I mean, let's be honest. If you're a good hitter and you leave anything across the middle of the plate, if you're filling up the zone in the wrong spot, you're going to get rocked anyway. They're going to they're going to rake it, Mark. I mean, that's baseball. But I think you're going to see pitchers really try to pick apart corners on the inside and the outside now.
Yeah, I just feel like, and I get it, it's legal because Major League Baseball is the worst when it comes to these things. They couldn't even figure out the steroid era until 5 years too late. If you swing that bat and a ball that's supposed to be a pop out to the warning track, if it's going out now, what are we doing here? I'm so confused by this whole thing. And here's my red flag. So when you hear Yankees fans talk, the first thing they say is, oh, Aaron Judge didn't use it. He didn't use that bat. He didn't use it. Like, to make sure Judge is not a cheater, he did not use that bat. That's
I'll just say this. You didn't hear anything from the commissioner on this. We weren't told about these bats until it was time. And let me ask you one question.
Okay.
One question as it pertains to baseball, because you can tie this into the steroid era as well. What's the one thing in this game that puts asses in seats?
Chicks dig the long ball.
There you go, buddy. There it is. Bottom line, they're not going to change the rule the same way Major League Baseball never protected their players when they knew they were using steroids. After the strike, Major League Baseball, when that 94 World Series was canceled, Major League Baseball knew something had to happen. Cal Ripken, Mark McGwire, and Sammy Sosa saved baseball. Sosa and McGwire save it with the home run chase. Okay? Home runs became a thing again, because these guys were pumping juice into their body. Major League Baseball knew it. They didn't do anything about it. When Congress investigated, Major League Baseball left their guys out on they hung them to dry. Hung them to dry.
Yeah.
I have no sympathy for Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball is not going to do a damn thing about this because chicks dig the long ball. Just like you said, fans want home runs, and this bat produces it.
Okay, so at college and the high school level, all right, we talked about, they use an aluminum bat, a Little League aluminum bat. It's only the majors where you use the wooden bat. So the question is someone right now at this moment, are they trying to design an aluminum bat that will look like that Major League Baseball bat? Where's this going?
You don't think it exists already?
Maybe it does.
Oh, I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does. You ought to hear the names of some of these bats and see the prices of these things. When I was playing, I used an Easton 33-inch bat, 32-inch bat, right?
Yeah.
Aluminum bat. Love my bat. At the time when I was playing baseball, I think I paid like $80 for this thing. Now these things get upwards of $800.
See, now you've opened up Pandora's box. When I was playing, now like I'm an old man as well. Sometimes we all just shared one or two bats. We had no money, so we all
did, yeah. No, I hear you. Yeah,
we did. And see, I was telling my buddy TJ McMahon. We were on the phone earlier, and I'm asking everyone their opinion, especially if you love baseball. So I always thought growing up, okay, wooden bat is for Major League Baseball. And as little kids, we would play with a wooden bat. You play with your friends. I felt like you use the aluminum bat because it's cheaper, because you can't be a little leaguer and your bat keeps breaking. So you can't buy 40 wooden bats. So you just have one aluminum bat. But you're right. If you go to the department store or, Dick's Sporting Goods, something like that, you're right. These bats are $500 after a while. What happened? Exactly.
Well, I mean, listen, I mean, you ever seriously, and I know you're a baseball fan. I don't know if you're what I would call a baseball savant though. And see, I am. So I look at launch angles. I look at, speed off the bat. I look at all that stuff. It just fascinates me. Pitch angles, pitch speed. I just love that stuff. Because I think in the end, when you look at the numbers of the game, it helps it make better sense. And you're like, well, you must be an idiot because baseball's not that hard to understand. But there is so much more to an at bat. A 6-pitch at bat, I can be completely fascinated by. And I know it sounds nerdy and weird, but it's just who I am. When I'm watching a baseball game, I will have StatCast open on my phone. And so I understand what these different bats bring to the game. It blows my mind, but I understand it.
Okay. All right. Do you still have your glove?
Yes, it's packed away, but I have it.
I knew it right away. If you ask an American male, I don't care. Especially if there's, I would say, okay, I'm going to go. Maybe if you're 40 and up, I will ask that question. Do you still have your glove? No hesitation in your voice.
Yeah.
You had it. And here's what we used to do. This is not for Florida. So when you grew up north, this is the corniest thing I will tell you, and I'll let you go. So during the dead of winter, it's like January, February, and there's snow on the ground, and it's awful weather. I'd go in my closet, get out the glove. You'd smell it because it smelled like summer and grass. And I did that all the time. Did you do that, Alan?
Oh, absolutely, man. And every year, whether it was broken in or not, my mom put a ball in it, tied it up. And, if you know me, I love football. I love hockey, and they're favorite sports of mine. But my favorite sport is baseball. It just is. It always has been.
Yeah. And I think I was in high school in the 90s when – okay, so you had your glove. Okay, so there were two gloves when I think about it. You had the pitcher's, the catcher's glove, and then everyone just had their glove. Then I noticed it'd be like, here's the first baseman glove. Now here's a third baseman glove. And I always remember my friend had it, Jude, in our neighborhood. He had the Ken Griffey Jr. outfielder glove. And I was like, oh, man, this is a big-time business when this starts happening. All right, what is the game you're calling tonight, buddy?
I'll be at Rockledge for Rockledge and Viera baseball, but don't forget two great lacrosse games on tonight. We've got the girls, Viera Hawk girls, who are 35th in the state. They're hosting the 26th-ranked team in Oviedo. And the battle for Brevard County, man, two top 40 ranked teams. Viera's traveling over to take on Holy Trinity.
Very nice, dude. And you told us high school football spring practice has started this week, correct?
Yes, that's correct. And so those games will happen in the month of May.
I like this discussion. I really do. And I like corniness from when I was in high school. So thank you for bringing that up. Thank you for opening up the treasure chest of knowledge of I have. Alan, I'll let you go. Thanks for help as always, and I'll talk to you later. All right, man?
Take it.
Yeah, Alan does a great job. He tried to say take care at the end, and then I cut him off. I apologize. This is the Mark Moses Show. We're here on a Tuesday. Yeah, Alan was great. Always love talking to him. and he does a great job with Brevard Sports Network. And we are here, yes, the Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorney Studios here in West Melbourne. This is my office. I know it's a little still under construction. We are still making moves behind the scenes. Don't worry, my gigantic fat head is still behind me. Should I grab it for you? All right, don't worry. He came with me, okay? He did. He came with me. We're going to get a home for him. Don't worry. We're going to work on that. We are. Now, before I go, I got a couple minutes left. Let's hear from John Frary, Sports Now, because, yes, the Gators are playing on Saturday against Auburn. This guy's covered the team all season long. He joined me on the phone line. Let's hear from John Frary, and let's get you ready for the Final Four this weekend. Mark Mosey show to preview the Final Four coming up this weekend in San Antonio involving the Florida Gators. Is a fine gentleman from Jacksonville with Sports Now. He is John Frary. John, how you doing today?
Mark, doing great. It's been 11 years since I've been able to talk about the Florida Gators in a Final Four, and I'll be honest, I didn't know if I'd ever talk about that again once one Billy Donovan left. So it's been a glorious year for Florida. It almost didn't happen Saturday, but they found a way again late, an unbelievable game to pull that off against Texas Tech. And it's going to be a great Final Four in San Antonio this upcoming weekend.
Okay, be honest with me. With about 3 minutes to go, they're down 9 points. Did you think they had a chance to win?
I thought it was over. And it was 3 minutes and 14 seconds to be exact, 75-66 Texas Tech. And I thought everything would have to align, the stars, everything. They'd have to have flawless execution to pull it off. And, Mark, that's exactly what happened. It was unbelievable. They got some help from Texas Tech, missing 2 front ends of 1-and-1 on foul shots. They left a possible 4 points there. Having said that, Florida still had to execute those shots. Thomas Houck with 2 tremendous threes, and then Walter Clayton Jr. You know, we talked about this before the tournament. Who would be the guy late? I don't think there's any questions anymore, is there? With guys in his face, Walter Clayton Jr. throws up these shots that he hadn't made all game. But when it's on the line with 2 minutes to go, he's money. I mean, he's got ice water in his veins, this kid. It's unbelievable. So this is one that they'll be talking about for years in Gator Nation. Winning a game like that and to get to a Final Four, I don't know if we're going to see one like that again. That was a classic, that's for sure.
With about 4 minutes to go, there was a possession on offense. When they were down double digits, I swear 3 different Gator players attempted a 3 and missed. And I was like, well, this game's over. Then on defense, they couldn't stop Toppin. Heck, they couldn't stop anyone. Dude, was this a Disney movie after a while? Because I thought they were dead in the water. I can't stop saying this.
I did too, and I've rewatched the final 4 minutes 3 times since then, and I still, every time I watch it, think, I know they're going to win, but I can't believe they're going to win. And you mentioned J.T. Toppin, and Darian Williams was the other one for Texas Tech, the other forward that had a tremendous game. And you're right. I was taken back that Florida couldn't stop those guys inside, because we haven't seen a team push Florida around like that inside all season with their bigs, but Texas Tech did. Todd Golden made an adjustment in the final 3 minutes. Finally, he doesn't like to double guys, but he had to with Darian Williams down low. And the final minute, about 45 seconds to be exact, I think, was a possession where they triple teamed him one time.
Yes. Got
a tie up, but the ball still went to Texas Tech. The other break Florida got, they allowed 2 wide open shots by Darian Williams inside of a minute, one when it was 80-77. They elected to put 3 bigs on the floor, leave him open at the 3-point line. He missed. And with the 3 big men they had, Chinyulu was the one that got the rebound. But that was a calculated gamble by Todd Golden, I thought. And there was also another missed wide open jump shot that could have taken the lead. So Florida got a little luck in this, too. There's no question about it. It was flawless execution, but they needed help from Texas Tech. And those final 3 minutes and 14 seconds, I just don't think you can duplicate that in another game ever in our lifetimes, Mark. I don't think that's hyperbole to say that. It was just incredible what we saw.
We're at John Frary Sports Now talking Gator basketball as they defeated Texas Tech. They're going to move on to the Final Four. All right, it wasn't 28-3 type choke like the Atlanta Falcons against New England, but when you look at that game and all these plays you're breaking down, it takes two to tango, correct? Where one team really has to falter and the other team has to make everything happen.
Absolutely. It took all of those things combined, and I'll throw in an official overturn as well, because if you remember earlier in the game, Micah Logton grabbed the front of the rim. The basketball went straight up in the air, and then he let go.
Yes.
The rim came straight down, and the ball went right through it. Initially, the officials called basket interference on that. And then during a timeout, when Florida was down 4, Walter Clayton got fouled on a 3-point shot, and he made all 3 of the free throws, and then they gave Florida that basket back. That's another thing that aligned, because normally, at least in my mind, that wouldn't have happened. I had written that off. I had forgotten about it, and then about 5-6 minutes went by, and then Florida had 2 extra points. It was really incredible how the whole thing transpired and how Florida managed to win that game.
All right. I will say this so I don't sound like a complete homer during this conversation. I didn't agree with that, where, okay, they said goaltending and what you just said. Then it was like 5 minutes later, oh, no, Gators get the basket. I don't agree with that. That should not have counted. I don't like the 1-and-1 either late in games. I think it should be 2 free throw shots. How about you?
I like the 1-and-1 late in games. I still like that aspect because it gives the team trailing a chance to come back. I'm not just saying that because it helped Florida on Saturday. I don't like reversing calls, minutes after the fact, though. The Micah Logton basket, I'm with you on that. I find it odd that they count these points, and then not just the Florida-Texas Tech game, but I've seen this through several games for the past few years in the NCAA tournament. Minutes pass by, and then they come back and say, oh, they decided that wasn't a goaltend and that basket counts. Where do you see that in any other sport, Mark? I mean, you don't. It's just,
no.
To me, that's crazy. They need to address that. That needs to go away.
Yeah, your equivalent would be they're at a baseball game. Someone hits a home run, then they say it's a foul ball. Then 3 innings later, oh, no, it was a home run. Give them the run. That's what that would be
exactly.
like.
I mean, I would be a hypocrite if I told you I wasn't happy they did it on Saturday because it benefited Florida. But for the good of the game moving forward, they need to do something about. That's one thing the Rules Committee needs to change in the off season. They need to address that because, as you stated, that's crazy. With the 3-run home run analogy or baseball, you just can't do stuff like that. In my mind, that's absurd what they're doing there.
We're here with John Frary. Let's go to San Antonio. And don't worry, I looked up flights. Super expensive to go. Okay? You can't.
Yeah,
Did you look it up?
I will not be there painfully.
I tried looking it up just for fun, and it was like Orlando to San Antonio. They're like, all right, fly to Atlanta, then fly here. It's not easy to get there, but I know the Gators are going. It's a rematch of a game against Auburn. They won at Auburn back at the beginning of February when Auburn was ranked number 1. What do you think of this matchup for the rematch coming up Saturday?
It's going to be a nail biter. I think it's going to go right down to the end. Both these teams are deep. They're very good. Now, health could be a contributing factor in that. Alex Condon still has the ankle. He played on Saturday against Texas Tech, but he wasn't 100%. And then Auburn's Janai Broome got hurt in the Michigan State game Sunday. And from what Bruce Pearl said yesterday, the elbow's very sore. They're both going to play. There's no doubt in my mind on that, Mark. But how effective are they? How close to 100% are they? That could be a factor. That aside, I still think Florida's the better team. They won back in February, 90-81. And for those that forgot, and I was one, Elijah Martin didn't play that game. And Micah Logton had not taken the red shirt off yet. So they won that game without either one of those guys in Auburn. they're going to have both of them this upcoming Saturday, but it's going to be a tough one. You know what's amazing? I was sitting back and I was thinking after this was all settled, did you ever think we'd be talking Florida-Auburn in the Final Four in basketball? 2 football schools. This is amazing. And it's going to be a lot of fun. We're guaranteed an SEC team in the final either way, but obviously I'm biased. I want to see Florida move on, and I think they're going to. I think they're going to win 87-83 on Saturday night.
Calling his shot. Are these the 2 best teams in the SEC?
Yes. Auburn won the SEC regular season. Florida won the SEC tournament. I think it's fitting that they both got to the Final Four because the SEC was the best conference in basketball all year. They might not have the champion because I think Duke's awfully good, and they're going to be a tough out, who I think the winner of the Florida-Auburn game is going to wind up playing next Monday. But that aside, Florida and Auburn are the 2 best teams in a very loaded SEC this year. They were better than Tennessee, Alabama, and Kentucky. Maybe not by a lot, but they were better. There's no question. Both, and I think they're the 2 deserving participants that'll be there Saturday.
Are you happy if this is the end, where they just get to the Final Four, then lose? Are you okay with that, or go for that title?
I would like to see the title. It's a successful season, though.
Yeah.
Let me throw that addendum into it, because you're not going to be losing to anybody other than a 1 seed. Now, we've got 4 1 seeds in the Final Four, which only happened one other time, 2008. Last Saturday, when Florida was down 9, I was thinking to myself, this is going to look like a failed season. Even though you made an Elite 8, you had a 1 seed, you were expected to make the Final Four, and it's not going to happen. And then, of course, we documented the unbelievable comeback and all the events that happened. But now, if Florida loses to Auburn on Saturday night, it's the rematch. It's the SEC regular season champion they're playing. I'll be disappointed, but I think it's a great season. It's the 6th Final Four in the program's history. There's going to be a banner hung up at Exactech Arena. And so I think it's a smashing success. But having said that, yeah, you don't get to Final Fours very often. Go for the title. There's no doubt with this team.
Okay, wait a minute. 2008, I believe that was the year Memphis with Derrick Rose and Calipari made it. Even though now it doesn't count, and they lost to Kansas in overtime. Is that right?
I remember. Spot on. And they did lose to Kansas in overtime. Derrick Rose, speaking of missed free throws, late in regulation, Memphis had a chance to put that away, just like Texas Tech did on Saturday. Now, Kansas' comeback wasn't as unbelievable as Florida's, though, in the game with Texas Tech, but yes, that's the only other time we've had 4 1 seeds. So this is a battle of heavyweights, and I think it's going to be Florida and Duke playing on Monday night next week. We shall see, but it's going to be a lot of fun to watch, no question.
I was going to ask you that. Okay, what do you think of the other game? But you like Duke. Do Houston and Duke scare you if the Gators get to Monday?
Duke does. Houston does not. I think Houston's size, Florida can handle. Duke is the tallest team in the country, even bigger than Florida's bigs. And they've got a lot of depth. Cooper Flagg is phenomenal. And for those that haven't watched that kid, if you're a Gator fan out there listening and you're going to see Duke for the first time, get ready for him. But they're loaded. They've got depth just like Florida. I think that would be a great game. But that one scares me. I'm not going to lie, Mark. And if you look at the way Duke has gone through this tournament so far, they haven't really been challenged. Unlike Florida, unlike Auburn, the closest game they've had was 7 points, and it was against Arizona last Thursday. But they blew out Alabama on Saturday night, and Alabama was who I had in the Final Four coming out of the East in that bracket. So that's the one that concerns me. Honestly, I think that's the only team that can beat Florida, right, that's left, is Duke. I think Florida can beat Auburn. I'm predicting them to. I think they will beat Houston. Duke, I'm a little bit more cautious. I could see Duke winning if Duke plays Florida next Monday.
every game so far in the tournament, okay, outside of the opener, that was a cupcake, Norfolk State. Nothing personal, but it was. Every game in this tournament, I want your thoughts along with this. It's like I'm watching the first half, but then I'm really watching the second half. Like, the game doesn't start for the Gators until we start the second half. Then it turns into, like, going to the dentist if you're a Gator fan. Do you feel that way with this run?
I do. I feel like they haven't played with their A game the entire tournament,
No.
Especially the Connecticut and Texas Tech games. They did for a half against Maryland. That's the best I think they've looked. They dominated Maryland in the second half after only being up 40-38 at halftime. But I keep waiting for this team to reach another level because we saw it during the regular season in the SEC tournament. Now, some of it is teams play different in the NCAA tournament. They play tighter. They just do because it's one and done. But I'm hoping they can let it loose this weekend. Maybe the fact that they made the Final Four, they're not the overwhelming favorite anymore now that we're down to this. They are a 2.5-point favorite against Auburn last check, but Duke is the favorite to win the entire thing now. So I'm hoping maybe that takes a little bit of the pressure off, and we'll see their A game on this weekend, which they're going to need to win a national title. There's no doubt with the level of competition that's left here now.
His name is John Frary. I hope you enjoy the game on Saturday, and we will preview and recap next week, John. So good luck, and I'll talk to you next week. All right, man?
Mark, always an honor and a pleasure. Let's hope we're reviewing a Florida national title next week, but we shall see.
Great stuff. Always love talking with my main man, John Frary with Sports Now. Yeah, he does a great job. He's been covering the Gators all season long, basketball, and especially his football coverage as well. I really, really liked going up in February and seeing the Gators play in person. I knew this was a special team. I went against, the game I did the show from the O-Dome. They took on Oklahoma. They just destroyed them in that basketball game. And I had a feeling just the whole season they're playing such great basketball. I said I had to go up there. And that's what I did. Did the show, saw them play. They're a great team. Now they've gone on this run there through the SEC tournament, winning that. Now they've won 4 games in the NCAA tournament. And now they're going to take on Auburn. That's right. It is coming up Saturday night, 6:09 with the tip-off on CBS. Gators right now at this hour, 2.5-point favorite. Over-under is 160. They think there's a lot of points going to be scored in that basketball game. So I'm running out of time. Appreciate everyone who watched, listened to the show as well. You missed anything, you can subscribe, follow Mark Mosey's show. We're on all the podcasting platforms, and just go to this Facebook page. Check out past episodes as well. Thanks to John Frary, Sports Now, and also Alan Zlotorzynski, Brevard Sports Network. We're broadcasting live here from the Anidjar and Levine Accident Attorneys Studios here in West Melbourne. Have a great night. I'll see you around right here on the Mark Mosey Show.